Okay, so you're upset that they haven't shown Casterly Rock this entire time, and when they finally do, it wasn't impressive.
It was disappointing. It was. If you look at all the fan art and like what it's supposed to look like, you know what the real Iron Throne actually looks like, right? Like according to George R. R. Martin, it's like huge and literally full of like hundreds of swords, and as opposed to like the small little one. I get it. But Casterly Rock was supposed to be like basically on the top of a mountain. Like,
right.
This huge fucking thing that was supposed to be impregnable. You're not supposed to be able to get to it.
There's an issue with that, though.
Well, I mean, that's what it's supposed to look like.
Right. But
there's supposed to be mines within it, and like it's supposed to be like this one.
I could see the issue with it, though, is that you already have a place that looks like that on the show in the Eyrie.
Sure. I'm just
saying,
they
didn't want to make a second place like that.
I'm just saying that bothered me because it didn't look as like.
You haven't even read the books.
I'm just saying, when you don't have to read the books. You know what they talk about. Oh, this place has never been captured. It's never been lit. Like the way they talk about it, and then you see it, and you're like, I don't see how someone can't capture this place.
Well,
in my mind,
the little crack in the bottom, the little entrance.
Sure, but I'm just saying otherwise. Like
right.
The Eyrie, I could see how no one can get that.
Yeah,
but you know, it's obvious. It has been captured in the past, like before the show started. But I'm saying, like,
see, I don't remember all the talk about Casterly Rock being impressive or anything. I also I always equated the Lannister success with how much money they had, and they were always able to fund like strong.
But that was the goal. The mines are under the fucking rock. That's the thing. I mean, I do.
Did they mention that on the TV show though? That's the thing. I
don't know. I don't remember. I do a lot of outside reading.
Yeah,
for sure. But
just we're already at a point where the books and the show are not connected.
Sure, and it's not even really a complaint. You just asked, and I had to think about something negative to say.
Like for me personally, this episode was my least favorite so far. I felt like it was just really fucking slow. The opening sequence with Jon Snow and Daenerys was just kind of, I don't know.
What did you want to happen?
I don't know. It was just a little bit anticlimactic. It was just very predictable, and I don't know. I wasn't as excited about it as I was last week. I was like, okay, they're gonna meet. You know, this is.
Well, what did you want to happen? What would have like given you a hard on if she fucking killed him or something?
I'm not sure, man. I mean,
if she killed Davos and then held him prisoner, would you be like, all right, cool?
I mean, I would be more in line with how the show runs. I don't know. It just was lacking energy for me.
Well, they were very monotone.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
There was no.
The performance wasn't there, and it's funny because if you listen,
they can't get mad at each other though. That's the thing. If she raises her voice to him and vice versa, you know, if he says the wrong thing to her, she can kill him.
Right.
Period. And he knows that.
You know what I wanted? I wanted Tyrion to jump in a little more, to be more of a mediator. But he was. I mean, I get it. He's on her side, so he was trying to play.
And they only really had one connection. Literally, that's it.
Yeah.
They met at Winterfell, and then they went to the Wall together.
Right, but their connection is he's the bastard, and
right, they're both bastards.
Yeah,
but that's so. Then, well, okay. So then, like, what was wrong about it besides that for you? Shit.
I just feel like very little got advanced. You know, like I wish like an attack would have been nice. Maybe it's too soon for an attack, but I just didn't feel like. It's the same thing that's been happening with Daenerys for the past 3 or 4 seasons. Like her scenes, nothing happens. And then maybe one episode, some action goes down. But for the most part, her character is turned into just like putting that fucking scowl on her face and trying to be fucking intimidating to everybody, you know, and nothing else has really happened with her character.
I still don't like her. I still don't like her.
That's fair.
I don't. Because of that reason. I like this whole bit just because even if I didn't like what went on or whatever, which I did like, but I'm just saying, even if I agreed with you, the fact that it happened at the very beginning of the episode is a great thing. Because if this were Game of Thrones normal, it would have been fucking 3 or 4 more episodes from now. And maybe that's why you didn't feel anything, because there was no build up, because you're so used to Game of Thrones. Like, oh, I'm going to head down south and then I'm going to fucking see like his journey down south for an episode or 2. And then he gets there and then you're like, oh shit, finally, here we go. So like maybe that's what you're missing. But other than that, like this whole season's been very like, all right, we need to wrap all these things up to get to the main conflict.
Well, yeah, they know they're running out of time.
And so, I mean, what I enjoyed about the beginning...
and the other thing is like we've only seen the White Walkers like that first 10 seconds in the very first episode. You know what I mean?
Which either means
seen them again.
Which means they're either going to continue that and they're not going to be that way to the last 2 episodes to where like we're at the climax and they're going to be all in the next season, or they're going to they have to make an appearance. I feel like they just need to do something. My theory is, and
the threat, it doesn't feel imminent because we haven't seen them on screen enough. We haven't seen anything happen with them.
I mean, that's the beginning of the show, really, and then up until Hardhome, that was literally the show.
Yeah,
like you just saw them be them.
Well, we know that winter has come. They kept saying winter is coming, winter is coming, winter's here,
and then nothing's happened.
No, and nothing's happened. So that's like I don't know. So for me, like just as visually speaking, like Jon's plight doesn't seem as urgent because we just still.
Well, it's not as well. It's urgent to me, but it's not urgent to the world.
Yeah.
Because the world hasn't seen anything.
Right.
And that's where the conflict comes into play. I want to talk about what I liked about that opening scene first. The part where they're walking up to the castle.
Yeah.
And then he says, "But I'm not a Stark." Jon says, "I'm not a Stark," or something like that. And then the dragons fly overhead.
Right.
Normally, that juxtaposition would be too on the nose for me. Where it's just like, we know he's not a Stark. He doesn't know he's not a Stark, and now you're going to fly in the dragons.
Well, he is a Stark. He's just not a Stark.
Well, but he's a Targaryen.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, though, like, putting that dragon, I actually like that. Normally, I wouldn't like that. I liked how Melisandre talked about how she brought a fire and ice together.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know about you, but I think that just confirms that A Song of Ice and Fire is about them. I think that's what we all knew and we all speculated. But like Melisandre saying that to me is putting the nail in the coffin. Like it's 100% about them too.
How did you feel about her exchange with Varys?
About how
they're both going to die in Westeros.
I don't know. It's interesting because I still don't know how Melisandre's going to play into it. Like at this point, I feel like she served her purpose.
Yeah.
She literally brought them together. And as she literally said, that I feel like that's her purpose. But now going forward, I don't know.
What else? Why do we need her?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you need Varys either.
Right.
I mean, genuinely. After, like, once everything's been captured and everything, sure.
Well,
but
you know what? Because the thing with Varys is Varys and Littlefinger are both. They're the reason why everything is going down right now, and everything. They're the backbone of the show's story. Because
basically,
all the major events that have happened, almost all that major events that have happened, have been caused by both of them, either working together
some way,
or working
coordinated by them. No, so it's just I don't know. I don't know how he factors in. But let's move on to King's Landing stuff because I believe
I called it last week. I told you what was going to happen with Dorne and Cersei. I said on air that Cersei was going to kill the chick's daughter in front of her, like as payback for Marcella.
I'm 100% glad that she did it that way, and I'm glad that I was behind Cersei. I wish it would have been worse, just because I fucking hate the Sand Snake story so bad that I feel like that was the writer's way of saying like we're sorry we wrote this in. Let's just fucking kill it off in the most brutal way possible. Like I don't give a fuck about the princess or the mom. Just they can all. I wish the mountain would have smashed their heads. I would have been happy. Just because I hated that story. And so, like, I'm hoping that means it's done now. We're done. We don't ever have to fuck with Dorne again, ever. And I'm glad. Just because it's just such a waste of time. I did like Euron again. Like, he's becoming more and more of a likable character.
Euron's my favorite character this season
even
so
though
far.
He's like, fuck, you can't like him.
Does she like a finger in her butt? No, tell me later. Tell me later.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Because it was... that scene bothered me a little bit on a weird level where it's like nitpicky. Where he was able to get that close to Cersei,
right?
And the mountain didn't even make a move. Like he was literally standing on her like pedestal thing,
right?
And like it was a little suspension of disbelief because you're so involved with like what's going on that you don't even notice that. But for me personally, I'm like, oh wait, he just got he was allowed to go that close. Just when like a few weeks ago or whatever, or however, I don't know what the time frame is, but like,
well, the time before though, that was the first time they'd ever met,
right? But when he tried to approach, I believe there was a shot where, like,
he tried to approach and the mountain took a step towards him and he stopped.
Yeah, but then that's what I'm saying. Like, is it a big deal? No. I'm not saying that, but it did rub me.
You're talking about a consistency purpose. I mean, I picked up on that too. I was like, okay, had the mountain didn't there was no explanation on why the mountain didn't care this time.
I mean, maybe because she brought the enemy that it was like okay, but even still, like all it is proving that he's a loose cannon.
Yeah.
You probably want to be extra careful,
right?
But it didn't ruin the scene. I'm just saying it's something like I really love that exchange though, between him and Jaime, because it just makes you wonder, like in some weird way, this was an episode for the Lannisters. Like, this might be the last positive episode for the Lannisters. Like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
This might be the midpoint of the season where like shit goes down from here.
Definitely.
Just because they were so fucking successful this season.
Yeah.
I mean, this episode. They took out.
Well, now and then the Tarly connection comes into play too. Like they brought him in, what it seemed
Bronn
like for
was there.
no fucking reason. Yeah, I was happy to finally see Bronn, even though he didn't really get much screen time. But what's Tarly's first? Is it Randall Tarly?
I think so. Yeah.
They talked about him last episode. They talked to him, had him for 30 seconds on the screen, and asked him a question, and then this time we see
them
he's there.
together. They united. So
Yeah.
obviously he believes in the Lannisters.
What kind of bothers me in that regard though for that scene was like we've never seen the Tarly army. We've never seen his bannermen or and even in that scene we still don't see like what is he bringing with the Lannisters, because it looks like the Lannisters obviously took their entire army with them to Highgarden.
Most of it, yeah, because they'd used the whole bait and switch thing.
Yeah. So where was the Tarly? Like, what do they look like? Like, I mean, this is me just nitpicking as well. Like, I obviously he needed him to help him take down Highgarden.
This felt like
So that makes me assume that the Tarlys are the ones that really protected Highgarden this entire time, and without the Tarlys' help,
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
Because the Tyrells are notorious for not having an army,
Right.
At all. Like they have one, but they're all a bunch of pussies. Like they
Right.
the only reason why they own Highgarden was because I believe.
well, they have all the wheat, they have all the food.
Well, this is before that. Whoever was it was the right place at the right time. I feel like in my mind, I feel like the person, I forget the name, someone knelt to the original Targaryen like way back when he was uniting the kingdoms, and like because of that, he was bestowed upon Highgarden and all
Yeah.
like everything surrounding that part of Westeros. So like that's the only reason why they were in power,
Right.
and then so because of this, like that's why it was so easy for them to capture,
Right.
But
I like that they didn't show a battle either. Since
well, I was gonna say
yeah.
I think this was a budget saving episode. To be honest with you, I think this was like battle light because they couldn't do it,
Right.
Because I feel like that just means there's more shit to come
Yeah.
later on.
Well, it wasn't necessary to either. I mean, if you're gonna say that the Highgarden like soldiers were weak,
What are you gonna show them getting just annihilated?
yeah, exactly. Like
Especially when you don't care about any of them.
this isn't fucking Spartacus on stars.
Hey man, don't talk shit about Spartacus. It's a good show. I love Spartacus. So staying with Highgarden. I mean, did you like that last scene?
Oh, that was great. That old lady, I'm gonna miss her, man. She's a scene stealer.
She fucking went out and she was dying and she just went. Because I mean, so let's talk about that revelation. I mean, it's not a revelation to us, but it's a revelation to Jaime.
Right.
Do you feel like he's gonna tell Cersei, or he's gonna keep it to himself? Like that's the first thing. My first
I
question.
think he's gonna keep it to himself because he already knows. He knows that Cersei, and what she was telling him about how evil Cersei is and how she's like just a wicked monster.
he recognizes.
Yeah,
She's
he
like,
knows that it's there, and he's not gonna push her off. Like telling her something like that might push her even further off the deep end and on to Euron.
So what
Euron's
happens?
dick.
What
You know
happens
I mean?
when Euron captures Tyrion again? And this is how I feel. I still feel like Jaime's going to kill Cersei. He maybe doesn't tell her.
You think
Euron
he's-
captures Tyrion, and of course Cersei wants to kill Tyrion because
Right.
she genuinely believes Tyrion killed
Her mother.
Joffrey.
Oh,
And so it's like, well, I'm going to kill you now, and the dad and the father.
well, there's
obviously.
a conflict of interest here because Jaime knows now that Tyrion had nothing to do with Joffrey's death,
Right, so I'm saying I could see.
but at the
I could
same
see-
time, he did kill Tywin Lannister.
yeah.
And I don't think, and then Jaime didn't have the daddy issues.
We
that Tyrion does.
We still don't know how Jaime actually reacted to that,
right.
or how he feels about Tyrion
I
killing
feel like
the dad.
I feel like he had some sort of reaction. Like now, like he doesn't have his brothers because he's the one that released him from the prison. So in effect, he's kind of the blame.
No, I get
for
it. I know,
Tywin
I'm just
dying
saying,
as
but
well.
we've never seen. We don't
Like
really
an emotional
know-
reaction to Tyrion since that happened.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't know how he actually feels
Right.
about Tyrion killing Tywin.
Right.
Because he doesn't have the daddy issues, but Tywin was never a fucking father. Really,
Right.
when you really think about it, he was just the head of the house, and you had to run things his way. But
Yeah.
he really wasn't a fatherly figure. So I don't know. I mean, it's a weird thing. But I could see like there's a possibility where like that could come into play where Jaime defends Tyrion again because he knows the truth, or I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you just don't know how it's going to play out at all. The Iron Bank came back. Speaking of I told you so's.
You did.
I don't know why still, but they're there. I read
what I want to know is, like, what kind of power does the Iron Bank have?
Well, the reason why Stannis went is because of all of their affairs in the world, not just in Westeros. So I'm assuming that, because they even mentioned the slave trade or something, that like if the Iron Bank reinvests in the Lannisters and like their kingdom again, that maybe there's other armies on the other part of the world
that they could pay to come over to be allies.
That's my only thing I can think of. But then it's like, well, how much did Daenerys destroy when she was over there?
Yeah.
Like, that's another world question. There's a lot of world that it's just never mentioned, never explored, never even touched upon.
Like, I feel like they didn't need to bring the Iron Bank back in. I think they did it because that was actually like, an Easter egg about what was going to happen with the High Garden, you know? Like,
you mean a little like foreshadowing because of like the fact that they have no money, blah, blah, blah.
And just like your theory on Dorne and the Sand Snakes, it was just a vehicle.
To tie. Well, I read an article, I don't believe it, but someone speculated that the guy from the Iron Bank is actually Arya.
Oh.
Like, because she's been over there. She knows like what the deal is.
Right.
Like, I think that's bullshit, but it could be a reveal.
Yeah, it could be.
Somehow. But we're going to see. The only thing is, we're on episode 4 now coming up, right? So we have, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 4 more episodes. I had to count on my fingers. So about 5 hours of content left. How much more story can you develop with that?
This episode also was not a 90-minute episode. Like,
I thought it was. The last two 71 minutes, and then the last one is 82 minutes. So the big ones, I thought
they're going to be the last 3 episodes.
The last episodes.
5, 6, 7.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just, I don't know how it's going to come up, to be honest with you, but I think it's obviously in the preview they talk about it again. So whatever it is, we're going to find out probably next week, and not a minute sooner, just because everything's going by so fast.
Right.
I wrote a bunch of things.
I mean, what other scenes are we missing here?
I mean, okay, so Bran and Arya Sansa got reunited. We saw Sansa doing some leadership stuff, which is cool. Like, she fit in, and then Bran comes in, and I was thinking maybe that was Arya at the gates. Yeah, like, oh, we have someone, blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna have.
And it was Bran on drugs.
No, I don't think he was on drugs. I think that's just him now.
No, I know. Just saying.
Well, he was fucking weird.
Yeah,
he was like, oh, I watched you get raped. You look beautiful in your white dress, is basically what he said.
Yeah.
And I love that. I really did like that aspect, because to me, it shows 2 things. One, he's become the three-eyed raven since the last time we saw him. So, like, this whole time when fucking, what's her name? Is it Jojen? What's her name?
I think it's, her dad's name is Mirren Reed.
So.
Something Reed.
Or Jojen died.
Jojen.
Mira?
I think it's Mira Reed.
Okay. Mira Reed, okay, let's just Googled it. So, man, she must be jacked, because she just carried that fucking dude from all the way up there, all the way down to Winterfell.
Hey, man, you can drag anything on snow in a sled, dude.
I apparently haven't done much snow dragging.
And he's got no leg mass, because he's got this. That's why he's got a blanket over his leg.
Can he move his arms?
Yeah, he can move his arms.
He didn't fucking move. He didn't like try to hug Sansa. Nothing. I guess that's just how like.
I think he can move his arms. I'm not sure.
The
guy's been in like 4 episodes since he got pushed off the fucking tower in season 1.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I like
episode 1.
Literally, I like how.
I feel bad for that guy, because he was a cute little kid, and he's just gotten uglier and uglier like as the years have gone by.
Fault, okay,
I'm just saying, I feel bad for him.
It's not the show's fault.
He is
either.
Lucky they kept him on the show and didn't recast him with someone better looking.
I mean, they could have.
They totally could have.
Honestly, there's no reason why they needed to keep him.
No.
I mean, when he's so limited. But anyway, I like how we see him in that state, because it shows that he's come a long way. He's really like, he has embellished the whole like thing about being three-eyed raven. And it also proves to Sansa that he's not bullshitting, because how the fuck else would he know that she got raped,
and that he's a three-eyed raven?
Yeah, all this shit. And like,
do you think he's going to reveal the Jon Snow stuff?
Well, he pretty much said it. We got to talk. I mean, that was kind of on the nose. Speaking of like shit on
think
the
so?
nose, but he was like, "Yeah, we got to talk." I mean, that's pretty much.
I mean, why does Sansa need to know?
What do you mean? Like, why did he even say that to her?
Like, why would, like, just story-wise, why would Sansa need to know? Like, I feel like the only person that might need to know is him beforehand, and then maybe that Daenerys, because that, if we're going to go by how sexist this shit is, that would make him the rightful heir to...
Well, they even said that, but he's not gonna.
No, he won't take it.
Yeah, but he should be the,
because he's the male. He's the
Right.
last male. But, you know, we're also, you know, this is
he can't fuck
this is
though.
progressive.
So like, how male can you like?
Jon Snow can't fuck?
No.
Why can't he fuck?
Bran.
Oh, Bran can't fuck.
Yeah.
No, I was talking about Jon Snow being the heir to Westeros because he's the
Oh.
last male Targaryen.
Got it. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I said.
Yeah,
last
you're
week.
saying that, and then I was saying no because we're in a progressive fucking world now in Westeros where there's a queen, the first ever queen, and Daenerys
And
is
there's-
technically older.
And gender pronouns have entered the Westeros kingdom.
Exactly.
So maybe you're right.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. That's where we're at.
Now, tell me, I liked the Samwell Tarly scene because it was funny. You know,
how he. What do you mean? Like, what about
like it was like it wasn't a lot of levity, but it was like a moment of levity in this.
how he was getting praised and
He was
then
getting praised, and then he had to go now copy, like photocopy all this shit, bruh. You
now
know,
get your shine box.
yeah, get your shine box, exactly. But then at the same time, I'm wondering that storyline for me is like, what did that do? What did that? I mean, it's gonna send Jorah Mormont back to.
I feel like that's the most important storyline going on right now.
You think so?
I think that's why like the small little brief glances we're getting are. They may seem insignificant now.
Well,
but
that's what
they're
I'm saying.
not.
That's what I'm
They're
asking you.
not.
Like,
I
how do
don't
you
think they
think?
are.
How do you think that's gonna blow up later on?
I mean, he just cured grayscale.
right.
That's a big deal.
He's not the first guy to do that, though.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
But he has no training.
Yeah.
And he's proving.
We've just shown how smart he is and how like
exactly.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and you don't know how Jorah's going to factor into like, 'cause
Right.
he could go and meet up with Cersei somehow, and Jon's still there or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, and like, Jorah vouches for Sam.
Yeah.
And then maybe when Sam finds the solution for the White Walkers, she's going to be eager to enact it. I don't know.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, the fact that he's down there is a big thing for the show. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people are speculating that the whole series is going to end like Lord of the Rings.
He's going to
where-
turn into Gandalf.
No, no. Where he's basically retelling the story of Game of Thrones.
Oh,
and he's writing in the, like, it's going to end with him closing the
he's
book.
going to be like Samwise.
Yeah. Like that's because George has been on record numerous times saying like Lord of the Rings is his like inspiration for the show.
Right. Just a lot more tits and dicks
Well,
and
he hated
violence.
He hated how Gandalf did, and I talked about this before, but he hated how Gandalf came back as the same dude, but like white.
like his character didn't change.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know how it's going to factor in it. To me, it's the most like intriguing one of all the storylines besides Bran. Like Bran to me is the most intriguing storyline.
Well, because we need to know what the fuck is going on with him.
exactly. But other than that, like,
Everybody else's story arc right now is pretty clear.
pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of know. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but we know like what everyone's goals and ambitions
Right.
are. Like, I'm curious to.
What did anything happen in this episode that shocked you? I
yeah,
was not, because I'll be honest, I wasn't 100% expecting the Lannister army to do what they did.
no, they won.
Yeah.
Their victories is what surprised
Right.
me.
That surprised me, but other than that, I don't feel like nothing shocking happened.
Well, I feel like that's a pretty big thing because now.
Well,
okay,
they kind of even the playing field now. I mean, let's think about it. If you by eliminating the Sand Snakes, you have no one that leads Dorne now. So
Right.
the Dornish army's probably going to back out because they're like, well, we don't have anyone leading us. And, you know.
I don't think they have anybody.
No.
I think all of their princes they're all dead now.
Right. So
Well, I
she
mean,
was
other than the mom.
She was actually the leader of Dorne. She took over for the guy that the other
that
paraplegic
he
they
fucking
killed.
murdered.
Yeah.
See, it's all her fault. Stupid dumb bitch. She would have. I mean, when you really think about it, it's all fucking Oberyn's fault for being like. Even Cersei fucking says
Yeah.
it. If he would have just killed the Mountain, none of this shit would have happened. Period. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you got to throw in Littlefinger about OG like starting everything.
Yeah.
But up until that point, because that's what this show's about. This show's about making mistakes on that level. You know what I mean?
Well, tying Dorne in though, if he finishes off the mountain and Tyrion gets let free because of trial by combat, how would that?
Assuming they would let him go.
Assuming they would let him go, how would that have affected things differently in King's Landing?
I don't know, but the story in Dorne wouldn't have been the same. That's for sure.
Okay.
Like Oberyn, by being overconfident in himself, destroyed his country.
Well,
basically,
Tommen would probably still be alive because Cersei wouldn't have manipulated the sparrows or turned to the sparrows. Maybe. I don't know the sparrow story, because the sparrow story last season is what really changed everything.
Everything.
You know.
Well, I want to talk. The reason why I brought up King's Landing a while ago was I wanted to talk about the people of King's Landing, because for whatever reason, the scene in which you see
where they're
Yara
throwing shit,
and I just for whatever reason, 7 seasons in, it finally clicked on me that like we just know what's going on in Westeros through the eyes of like people in power.
Yeah.
Like we don't really know what it's like to live in the Seven Kingdoms.
I mean, I think the closest thing was the sparrows.
Right. That's what I was getting at. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, look, so how bad are these people, and how bad do they have it that they're willing to like waste their own food to like fucking talk shit and like throw their food at like these prisoners or what? Like, well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you would think that after everything that just went down with the fucking their religion getting basically blown off the face of the earth, all this shit, that like they wouldn't have the energy to do this. They seem pretty behind Cersei is what I'm saying. Like, there doesn't seem to be this like resentment or like any worry of the people. They just
I think that scene was specifically to show that she's starting to win the people's trust, or she's like winning their support
because
back.
they captured all these people who did bad stuff.
Exactly. And playing the whole this lady killed my child angle. You know what I mean? And I think that's what that scene represents. You know, like, oh, when we like episode before, like, you know, Jamie's talking to her and it's like, dude, everybody hates us. We're fucking outnumbered. Like, we have no support. And then she's like, you'll see.
That's true. I didn't think about it that way. It just made me think, like, we don't really have a perspective, though, about the
because it's not about the people of Westeros. Like, we really don't care about them.
I know, but it's just like thinking about...
It's called Game of Thrones because we worry about the fucking...
Right.
The actual thrones themselves.
It's just interesting. That's all I'm
definitely.
saying. It's an interesting dynamic.
This is not an SJW show, for
it's
sure.
It's just about kings. It's
Yeah.
just about the royalty. Like, you don't know. Like, and when you try to put that in, like, modern times, maybe like a show about following around the Trump administration, which is basically House of Cards. But, like, you know what it's just like... You're not taking into consideration any of what people worry about.
Absolutely.
Like, maybe people they don't give a fuck about what's going on, and they just want to like make rent or whatever. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, it'd be an interesting show to have a sitcom set in the world of Game of Thrones.
Well, maybe when Gendry comes back.
He'll come in like a sitcom entrance and they'll be clapping. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm just gonna see if I have anything else. I think that was it from my
All I know
notes.
is when the fucking season ends, when the show ends, I want the last scene to be Gendry in his boat rowing.
Still rowing.
Still rowing.
And then he falls off the fucking... It's a flat earth. Like, that's the final thing is Westeros is... Or, what is it? I don't know. What's the world called?
Or maybe he fucking falls over and dies like Fredo in Godfather 2. Like with a
orange?
super wide shot. Yeah, and then...
Could you imagine if that's how it ended? Like, something like that? Like, something so stupid that just ruins... Or cuts to black?
Right.
Could you imagine?
Have we ever talked about The Sopranos ending?
No.
Did you like that
I
ending?
mean, you and I have talked about it, never on the air.
I mean, real quick. So I've had, like, in the last year, I've had, like, plenty of fucking arguments with people about it.
The Sopranos is the greatest television show ever created, and for me personally.
Right.
Bar none. And I've seen it more than once. It's one of the few shows where I've seen more than once from beginning to end. And I remember the second time when I got to the ending, knowing what was going to happen, I was still disappointed.
Okay.
Now, the problem is I wasn't as disappointed because I was able to read much more about it and everything like that. And like, the fans are able to throw their own theories, which is not David Chase's what he wanted to do, but like you could still like make the ending good.
Yeah.
And so in that regards, like I'm not going to defend it. It's bold. It's original. No one else is doing it.
You could see what people are making connections with. I get that, but at the same time,
it's not the ending that the show deserved. But at the same time, who are we to say what it deserved when it's David Chase's baby? At the end of the day, like that's a little pretentious to say, But if that's how he envisioned the show to end, with, you know, it's just kind of like, all right, we're cutting to black because this shit's just going to keep going, or maybe he dies, or like that's the whole point. And, you know, that's fine. It's better than Lost ending, that's for sure. Like, I know you didn't see any of Lost, but like that was a terrible end. I mean, it's hard to nail. Like, I'm worried about the series finale of this show, just because there's no source material. You know, you don't know. Like,
I mean, there's yet to be a happy ending in this fucking series, so I kind of feel like you finally have to have a happy ending of some sort.
Well, again, George R. R. Martin's been on record saying that the ending is bittersweet. Like, it will be bittersweet, but that's the thing. I don't know if the TV show Game of Thrones is going to be bittersweet, or if that's just the books. Because
someone can die at the end of the show as long as like peace comes back to Westeros. Like if the show ends with the White Walkers completely just fucking turning everyone into a zombie,
right?
You know, and then like we get left like there's a fucking baby dragon or something that's gonna come back. I don't know, something stupid like everything's fucking ice, everything's dead, and then like you see like Arya hiding underneath a fucking rock or some shit. You know, and then
she is a rock.
Yeah,
she can morph into rocks.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Well, so to give context, I have not read Lord of the Rings because I couldn't get through the music of Lord of the Rings. Like, it's just when I read
the songs.
Yeah, like I was just like, man, this is not the movies. The movies are way more interesting for me. But there's certain things that were not in the movies that were in the books. Mainly the ending, like how Lord of the Rings actually ends.
Right.
The Shire gets sacked and like burned to the ground, and there's none of that in the fucking movie. Right. I forget. There's an orc leader, I think, who like goes and literally goes in and they burn the Shire, kill a bunch of fucking hobbits. Like, it's bittersweet. Again, they win the big conflict, but like there's still little like troops around.
Yeah, like Frodo comes back and his fucking home is gone.
It's fucking, and so, but
that would have sucked.
Martin has, but see, that's he said that's the best thing about Lord of the Rings is that ending because it's bittersweet. And he said that's, if I were to copy anything, it would be that. Like, I want to make the sacking of the Shire a part of the Game of Thrones.
This is why I'm glad that he is not fucking involved with the way the story's going. Have you, like, I'm going to tell you right now, if any of you guys out there that read the Game of Thrones books and actually like them, you guys are full of fucking shit, because he is not a good writer. His story ideas are good, but his actual writing itself,
I haven't read anything.
Not very. I read 2.5 books, and it's so fucking dense, and it's basically him just describing, like, that's why South Park makes fun of it, because he's basically describing the veins in people's cocks. You know,
that's a little too much.
I'm not exaggerating.
Like, I don't care if it's like you're describing tits. Like, I don't. There's a bunch of details you don't necessarily need, and that's, you know, in my opinion, that's one of them. But I mean, maybe maybe people like that. Maybe like that.
Well, it's just like it's so much detail into like unnecessary shit that like it just kind of, you get bored and you're just like, it just gets real. It's like reading a textbook. You know, after a while, you're just like, your eyes start getting fucking heavy. You're like, fuck, man.
Well, his books, they're bigger than like the Bible and shit. Like, there's more. Or this book is supposed to be bigger than something like that.
I mean, yeah, I believe it. There's a lot of, it's like 500 pages, and every page is just fucking crammed with shit. It's like he makes the font smaller so that he can get more shit into those pages, so that it's like still a standard.
I think he's gonna die before the series ends.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's not in the greatest of health.
I think he's gonna die before, and it's sad. And I hope you watch this, George R. R. Martin, because you need to fucking realize that you're probably gonna die and not finish this. Because no, it's true. Because I mean, Winds of Winter was supposed to come out like fucking 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, it's probably it might come out before the season where you reveal that Jon dies. It happens. Clearly, that fucking didn't happen. Motherfucker's still writing, dude, and he still has another book after this.
Dude, I guarantee you it's writer's block, or he's just cramming too much detail into this fucking book, man. He needs a fucking better editor. Next Sunday.
Yeah, next Sunday.
Episode 4.
We'll
keep talking about this.